Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. On this page, I talk about technology and money primarily, and also trending news as I come across it. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. If the algorithm brought you here, or someone shared it with you, if you're a returning subscriber, welcome to you again as well. I want to take a moment to ask if you all could like and share this video. At minimum, like it. Liking is you telling the algorithm that you find this information helpful, interesting, engaging, and then it encourages me to continue creating content that you all find interesting. And then I also want to take a moment to thank also for 500 subscribers. We made it, y'all. Yeah, that's exciting because I started 2022 with just under I think I was just under 100 subscribers at the beginning of this year. So it's exciting, and I thank all the other content creators who have shared my content, Black Women Making Money, Mocha Mommy, several other content creators, and also nursing professors who has been sharing my content, and other nurse content creators such as ACD4N, educational consultant, Brianna, who's also a nurse working in tech. So I just appreciate all the new subscribers. And yeah. All right, so it's the end of the year, y'all. I'm gonna try to make this a short one, since I know a lot of folks are still celebrating holidays. I'm going to talk about nursing 2023 since we're wrapping up 2022. And so I want to talk about nursing and social media in 2023, just what my thoughts are on that. Again, thoughts on my own. I've said that before. Technology and nursing practice for 2023, just some trends that I think are going to continue and actually grow even more. And then also women, money, and relationships in 2023, and give you all just a little bit of encouragement on that. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen here. Yeah. Okay. So our first topic, let's see here. Let's do this. Okay, that's better. All right. So first, I want to talk about nursing and social media in 2023. And what I've seen in 2022 is nurses, we are now telling our own stories even more than ever. So with the rise of the last 3 years and everything that has happened with COVID and the pandemic, things went more digital, more online. Nurses were sharing their stories of what it's like working through that. It's just, and I did a video, oh gosh, about a year or so, or some earlier this year, I cannot remember when, about nurses and Nurse Blake and what he was doing with the Joint Commission and mobilizing his follower count, him as an influencer, and the reach of nurses on social media. And we are telling our own stories even more than ever, no matter your specialty, whether you are a nurse working in tech like myself, a nurse working in case management, a nurse working in home health, nurses working in SNFs or skilled nursing facilities. The call is coming from inside of the house. And I believe what we've seen, even for the past 3 weeks, what's happening with nurses in New York State, with the New York Nurses Association, and nurses speaking out about having high ratios of 1 to 50, which I cannot even begin to imagine in a SNF, or what's happening with nurses down in Florida, and how nurses are mobilizing, using social media to control the narrative from our point of view. So I think that's going to happen even more in 2023. Yeah, the call is coming from inside of the house. And I'm just going to share a few videos from some nurse content creators that I follow. First is Your Nurse Lawyer is Iris Arstein, which I've shared her videos before. She's a registered nurse, but she's also a healthcare and compliance lawyer. And so the most recent trend of that ick challenge with those nurses down at Emory and getting fired, I want to share a few videos related to that. And just a good reminder for nurses as we're going into 2023 and we're using these platforms. So this first video, I think, is about 2 minutes, and I may not play the whole thing, but as always, I'll be sure to leave a link to all content and all references in the description.
I know nurses want to be content creators and create content around nursing topics, but let's just not do it at work. And I thought that we established this during the pandemic when people were making content at work and were getting in trouble. I know nurses want to be.
So that's the first video that I wanted to share. Just a reminder, be careful. And she has a longer video. Let's see, how am I on time? Because didn't want to be before you all very long. She has a longer video about nurses and creating content, specifically around the ick challenge. It's in about 3 minutes. I'll play a little bit of it. So nurses, and even beyond nurses, because I know there are physicians sharing content on social media. There are physical therapists. There are occupational therapists. There are people who work in labs. I've seen like lab technologists and radiology technologists sharing content. Just a good reminder. And I'm just gonna play this. I may not again play this whole video from this same content creator. And again, this is referencing the ick challenge. And if you recall, that was three or four nurses down at Emory. They were labor and delivery nurses, and they were sharing their thoughts, their icks from patients.
Challenge from a different perspective. I always tell people, when you are doing anything at work, whether that is building a business, if you are inventing or creating something, understand that when you are on hospital property, using hospital time in a location that is owned by the hospital, not in your car, not in a parking deck, not on break, not off the clock, but actually clocked in, you are not only under the policies and procedures related to your clinical practice, you are also under their policies and procedures related to the things that you say and do, right? So there are policies that govern your actions. You cannot speak for a hospital or healthcare organization. And when you make statements about the work that you do, you have to understand that they can see that as a misrepresentation of their organization.
I'm going to stop it here. And again, just so in the essence of time, I'm going to leave a link to it in the reference. And I have 4 lessons, three or four lessons I'm going to share about what your nurse lawyer just said. One other thing I wanted to share about the ick challenge is and I may not play this whole video, but when I first saw the ick challenge, I only saw the 3 nurses doing it. I didn't see icks from other nurses. But the Sunshine nurse, she's a travel nurse, she shared a little bit more information about it and how there were more nurses doing the challenge. And she gives a different perspective. And so I want nurses of all different backgrounds just to keep in mind what your nurse lawyer said, but also take into consideration, especially if you're a minority nurse or a nurse of color, just a good reminder. So let's share. This is the Sunshine nurse. She's a travel nurse.
Ick is when you come in for your induction talking about, can I take a shower and eat?
All right, when a patient comes in and says, my fever's been 98.9, that's hot for me. No, it's not.
Did you know that 4 labor and delivery nurses in Atlanta, Georgia at Emory Healthcare lost their jobs for doing a TikTok challenge? In a statement from Emory on Friday, they said, we have taken appropriate actions with the former employees. When different news sources have reached out to Emory Healthcare to see if they were fired, Emory has had no further response. Nurses in the public were outraged by the video. They stepped in and put these ladies' full names on social media, got their full social media names, and sent these videos to Emory in order to get them fired. They literally have been celebrating on TikTok that they lost their jobs before the holidays. I think it's really unfortunate that a joke has gone this far. As far as I'm concerned, these ladies could have gotten a warning and, reiterated what the policy, social media policy is at this place of employment. And I say that because nurses have brought harm to patients accidentally, and still they keep their jobs. But here it is in this instance, everybody in this thing has lost their job. My thing is, with the video, 1 7 nurses kept their jobs. There was no outrage when they did their TikTok. And the first video, there was complete outrage. Do I think that there was a manhunt with the nurses in the first video? I do. They were mostly Black nurses. And I feel like that's where the outrage came from, because they were Black. Not only were they Black, they thought they were unprofessional. Was the video unprofessional? Yes. Did they deserve to lose their jobs? No. I do think it's taking it too far when you sit here and post their full names, their place of employment, and their social media handles, and email Emory in order to get them fired. I think that's taking it too far. Emory is an area that is gatekept from Black nurses, and that is across the country. And here is they are in a higher specialty doing these videos that they know all hospitals have policies about social media recording on their property, especially at work. This is an example to my Black nurses. You can't do what they do. These white nurses still have their jobs, and my Black nurses are out of jobs right before the holidays. I wanted to make sure that you remember, don't record on company property, in their garages, even on your breaks. That is still company time, and you can't get fired.
Good lessons, y'all. Okay. So one more thing just related to nurses on social media and just good reminders. Not good. Well, they gave some good lessons there. But just around nursing and social media. Now, here is one last nurse around here. She works in skilled nurses. Her name is Nurse Rebecca. So her video is a little bit longer as well, so I won't share the whole thing, but this goes back to how we are nurses, and I think in 2023 we're going to be telling more of our stories, but we just need to keep a few key things in mind. So in her TikTok, this nurse talks about how she worked a shift. She had I think she had like a 1:64 ratio. This play the beginning of it, because it's 5 minutes long.
Work, and I've been in PPE all night, so just ignore the way I look. If any video that I've ever posted was to go viral, I hope that this is the one. I doubt that it will, but I just feel like my voice needs to be heard. Last night, I answered a call to go work at a facility that needed staffing help. And me and another nurse were assigned 64 positive COVID patients.
I'm going to stop this TikTok here just in the essence of time. So she goes on to talk about how her night went, but it just goes back to what I believe is going to happen with more of nursing and our reach on social media is we're telling our own stories. Again, the call is coming from inside of the house, and just some personal lessons too for nurses as we're doing these things is don't do social media content creation on the job. And we saw 2 creators talk about that. I'm just reiterating. And 2, if you can, avoid about posting where you work. Even if you're not creating content at work and you're doing it at home, in your bathroom and living room, I would also say do what you can to restrict on, social media, whether that's TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. Just restricting about talking about where you work, because there are some people who you may say something that's completely innocent and they may take it and be offended by it and can put your employment in jeopardy. And then on the business side, for our hospitals and health systems, and your staff are out here telling their own stories. Again, I talked about that in the Nurse Relate video that I did. I'll link it below. That was a video. Let's see. I'll share it here on my screen. I won't play it since it's so long. It's like 45 minutes. What Nurse Blake did earlier this year with mobilizing his reach of followers and going to the Joint Commission headquarters in Chicago. And he had a lot of nurses up there with him. Okay. So for hospitals and health systems, it's just a good reminder that your staff are telling their own stories, and you may not be able to see like their content may not go viral to the point where you can see it, but think about how you're treating your staff, giving them what they need. Sometimes it's not always more money. Sometimes it's being treated with respect, or maybe having staffing or having linen or whatever, the nurses in that facility are saying that their concerns are. But just know that, nurses, we do have a voice, and we're using the power of storytelling to share their concerns, and it's getting out to the public. Some of these stories have made it onto local, regional, and national news outlets. So I think that's going to happen more 2023. The last thing I will say about this on storytelling is when I went to school, I took a marketing class in my last degree program, and the professor talked about storytelling and how the best way to get a concept into someone's brain and to make it memorable and shareable is to tell a story, and just never to forget the power of storytelling. All right, so the next thing I'm going to talk about, we're going to see more of in 2023. Let me do a quick time check. Oh, good. We're only 16 minutes in. Is technology and the impact of nursing practice. Okay, now some of these things I've talked about on here before, this all throughout the year. I also came across this Forbes article that I'll just briefly share. But healthcare is being digitized. It is, we have electronic healthcare records, we have smart IV pumps, smart beds, geolocation technologies, virtual nursing, artificial intelligence embedded in all kinds of things, and we're going to see more of that. And so my challenge to nurses, whether you work at the bedside or another specialty, I work in tech. I'm not saying leave the specialty that you're in. That's not what I'm saying. So if you're at the bedside, I'm not saying you have to leave the bedside, but just think about for yourself with the evolution of technology in healthcare and its continuing impact to nursing practice as things become more digitized. What do you need to do as that nurse at the bedside, in case management, in insurance, et cetera? What do you need to do to continue to upskill yourself and evolve your skills so that you are ready as these technological advancements are being incorporated into your practice? Okay. And then, I have one lesson, but very quickly, this article, and this is on Forbes, it just talks about the top 5 healthcare trends. AI, I've talked about AI. And it's talking about the use of AI in combination with radiology being used to treat and diagnose different conditions such as Parkinson's. I've talked about here on this channel how AI is being used to help diagnose other conditions such as breast cancer. Another one they talked about here is remote care, like virtual hospitals without walls, y'all. I first heard about hospitals without walls like 5 or 6, maybe I forget how many years it's been, but maybe 5-7 years ago, hospitals at walls with the hospital at home programs and telehealth, even more of that. This article talks about retail healthcare. I'm not as familiar with retail healthcare, such as like the CVS Health, the Walmart. Now you can go, your primary care provider, your dentist, etc., are in Walmarts. And I know there are some of the larger Walmarts they're doing where you can get, essentially your whole aspects of your life can be managed in a Walmart, your banking, etc. So this it references the increase of retail healthcare, wearables. It talks about the increase of wearables. I know that there are wearables, and not such as not like a smartwatch, but such as if a patient is on remote monitoring, personalized healthcare. So my challenge to nurses and beyond that is healthcare workers in 2023, as we're seeing the continuing pervasiveness of artificial intelligence, robotics, thinking to yourself, what do you need to do to upskill? I'm not saying, you have to leave the bedside or go work in tech or do things like that, unless you're interested in that. But I would say, especially at the bedside, you can start with the next time you're in a patient care room and you're doing your professional nursing duties, just take a moment to look around the patient room. Look at the bed, look at the pump, look at any other monitoring that the patient may be on. Think about pharmacy, things like that. Everything that is associated with patient care, hospital supply chain, and the logistics around that, including like linen and supplies. Everything associated with patient care is being digitized. Electronic health records, which we're already aware of, virtual nurses. So as you're in that patient care room the next time, and think about, well, what do I need to do as a registered nurse, LPN, certified nursing assistant, to upskill myself so that as these advancements are being implemented, I'm prepared and ready and able to adapt. So yeah, so that's it. I just want to talk a little bit about digital transformation for 2023. The last thing that I think we're going to see more of, and I hope to see more of, and that is to help all women. Now, people may say, well, what about men? But I'm right here, I'm specifically talking about women and the impact of money and managing our finances and how they impact our relationships. And I know, like in 2022, we've seen a lot of women of all ages, but particularly older women, like in their 30s, 40s, 50s. I haven't seen too many in their 60s and 70s, but definitely in that 30 to 60 age range, giving like auntie advice. So you have like your professionals who, may have a course to sell, etc. But you're also having just regular women like myself telling their stories to help other women and help young girls. And I think we're going to see even more of that. And I think that is helping, because when I see these stories, whether it's not necessarily like financial abuse, but just a woman talking about how she overcame and came out of debt, or how, if she's a single mom with children, how she's managing, or if she's divorced and went through a tough situation with her finances and her prior partner, or if she is a fiance or a girlfriend and how they're managing. I think we'll see more of those stories because, again, storytelling and telling our own stories, that is one of the most memorable ways that sticks in someone's head more than just like it's a way to market, but also people sharing their stories sticks in people's head more than anything. So I'm going to end with, if you are 2023, you're looking to get your finances in order, I'm going to share some of my favorite resources, and I've shared some of these again before, but just some of my favorite accounts and platforms for getting my money in order, or getting your money in order. I'm debt free, except for we're debt free except for the house, working on that. But the key is finding a resource or resources that work best for you, because there are a lot. Okay. And if you're in a place where you're a woman and you're trying to get your money in order, you can start small. And some of the resources that I like, one is Black Women Making Money. She has a YouTube channel. That's Cherie. She talks about personal finance, trending news, entrepreneurship, investing. She works in, I believe, tech sales now, but she's also an entrepreneur as well. And she gives resources and tips and shares a lot for all women. Ways that we can get our money together and take care of ourselves. The second is Live in Lchain. I've talked about Live in Lchain before. I think I did last year. They are two men from the Jewish faith, and they share personal finance and information primarily from the Jewish culture. But I have found a lot of good tips from their channel and from their content. So I continue to consume their content. That's how I found out about Rabbi Daniel Lampin, which you see there's a video here. I did a book review on the rabbi's book, which was so good. the rabbi's book was so good. If you all haven't seen my book review on the rabbi's book, but yes, I like Live in Lchain. That's a really good resource. And one last one is Dasha, the broke black girl. And I like her. Now with Dasha, she is divorced. She has 2 kids, and she talks about how she went through a situation with financial abuse and how she overcame. And on her, she has like a website. She also does podcast episodes, but she also has freebies on her website to get you started. So if you are looking for a resource, like you're just in a place, if you're a woman and you're going through a divorce or you're going through a financial abuse type situation, or you're just looking to get started paying off your debt, Broke Black Girl is a good place to start. And she makes content for all women, and she has freebies. So those are just a few of my favorites. So yeah, y'all, that's it. If you're a woman and you're in a relationship, having some things around your finances, I'm hoping that you can get to a safe place and just be mindful with managing our money and our resources. Or if you're dating and meeting people and things like that, just being mindful and protecting yourselves and your finances in any way. That's it, y'all. I hope 2023 will be your best year. I am proclaiming it to be one of my best years. Thank you to everyone who has supported the channel in 2022. If you made it this far in the video, please do like the video and also share, and consider subscribing to my channel. I'll leave a link to all references in the description, and I will see you in the next video.